Have you ever wondered what it would be like to play Elden Ring, but never learning anything from your mistakes? Well, I'm about to find out how hard that is. So we've laid the groundwork for the idea. We know that we want to play like a beginner, but where do you actually start? So I needed a complete scrub's thoughts on what my starting class should be. So I reached out to my good friend Brady. And thus it was settled, we went with Warrior. So I reached out to numerous Elden Ring communities around the internet, asking people what were the big mistakes they first made that they wish they had have known when they started Elden Ring. And I compiled a list of the most popular ones and put that all together. Now that list is not using greases, not using ashes of war, not using spirit ashes, only using the quick item pouch for flasks, so not equipping any consumables in that, not doing chained R2 attacks, no two-handing of a weapon, no NPC quests, and not leveling any weapons. You put all that together, that's what we're going to be doing. I skipped the tutorial area because every noob would, and just headed straight for Stormvale. I got to Margit, and this was it was just fighting Margit. It was just me remembering how to play the game. Once I'd brushed all the crust off, he fell. Simples. Now I don't know why. I think it was the greed I'd end up with using dual swords, but I got me a great sword, and then I headed on to slap old godders about. Watching this back though, aside from the poise break, I definitely should have kept using the curved swords. All the same, Godric the grab ass goes down. Alright, now that multi-limbed bitch is dead, it's time for Raya Lucaria. I feel like I need rebirth in the future, so this is the sensible option. First up though, gotta put down Radagon's pooch. Got a big axe to take care of this boy, send him right to the Rainbow Bridge. But remind me to never fight the Red Wolf with heavy weapons again. Being so slow sucks butts. So after the dog, I ran around Caelid for a bit for talismans, armor, stuff like that. I found though that I'm kind of getting to the limits of what I can do with melee weapons without upgrading. So it's time for me to take an axe to school so I can learn magic. As with any other run at Rennala, heavy melee goes hard. As long as you don't get greedy, it's an easy fight. And I did a few times. But the last one was pretty easy. Nope, not dying to this one again. Now it was about this point that I realised that Brady's class choice probably wasn't the best. So I went to spend some time with the woman I just beat with an axe, and I asked her if she'd teach me how to read. And now it was time to preach the good word of my newfound enlightenment. Radahn, Radahn, I'd like to tell you about how the pen is mightier than the sword. Okay, so apparently he's not willing to listen, so I'm going to take the diplomatic approach. I will teach him by force. It was at this point that I believed the pen may be too mighty. This will be disproven later on. To make this sensation of me being overpowered even worse, just watch this fucking trouncing. I absolutely poo all over him, and I'm playing a very, very sloppy round here. Like, I constantly get hit by stupid attacks, and he still just fucking eats it with zero effort. Oh, I thought I was OP. You know what's great about this game though? Every time you do a run and you feel like, shit, this is going really well, there's always something big and hairy in the mountaintops that it's just going to bring you right back down to earth. Real talk though, Fire Giant is kind of a great example of how to bring out all the problems with this run. Like, I cannot jump off and jump back on Torrent. I'm very limited there because I've got to go into the menus to do that. He sort of works really well at that mid-range, which is exactly where my spells excel, unless I used something like Rock Sling, which does 2 parts of bugger all damage. So it's sort of this balancing act of I've got to be kind of close, but I've got to watch out because the spell wind up usually ends up getting you caught. And yeah, it was a real mixed bag. The second phase though, I'm just bringing out Comet Azure because fuck that hairy bitch. Giddy as a fucking schoolgirl, I headed over to Volcano Manor the moment I realised that fighting Rykard would be pretty much normal. Aside from chained R2s, maybe double handing, I don't know, never really bothered. But it's relatively normal of a Rykard fight. This is so weird for any sort of run that I do because I always impose some sort of weapon bullshit. Ah, so good. I figured it was time to prep for the Halig tree, so I went to go get my medallion from Niall. Now, this is a long fight, so please bear with me while this runs, but I figured you guys, need a bit of a rest, chill, enjoy this long-running fight. So I popped down to a cave, killed Stars of Darkness. Carry on. I don't know about you, but the Crystalians in the Halig tree scare the shit out of me, so I'm taking the quick route. And then some idiot on a horse challenged me to a magic duel and lost. It's at this point you might be like, "Ooh, he's gonna fight Malenia." Well, you'd be wrong. Because I went in there and she absolutely pounded me. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go settle for something a little bit easier, like the Godskin duo. We all know the Godskin duo. Everyone knows it to be a test of frustration fighting two bosses that don't really complement each other in a skill set sort of fashion, and instead it tends to end up as a half-assed gank fight. I was trying to figure out how I could possibly beat them. Could I pull sleep pots out of my inventory, maybe like Centrina arrows? Well, it turns out that the lack of response you get from night sorceries made this a dead set cakewalk. They got the Morgott treatment. Also, I should mention that it should be damn illegal that they have such sick music in their boss fight. So it was at this point that I realised that I didn't need to do Rani or Fia's quests to fight Fia's champs, Estelle, or Regal Ancestor. So I just knocked those out of the park. While I prep myself for Malenia and Malekith, I figured I would prep for a different ending, one that I've never gotten before. P.S. Platforming sections are for chumps. Malenia, we're finally here. Took a bit of planning to figure out the best approach. I had to use a combined strat to actually hit her and try avoid being stuck mid-attack while she impales me. If you know anything about Malenia, she will dodge range attacks pretty easily. So what I had to do was I had to keep my distance and focused on charged Night Comet attacks, because if you fire off Night Comets too quickly, she'll dodge them, and if you charge it, it gives just enough time that she doesn't have the ability to dodge a follow-up. But charging that attack also means it gives me a chance to see if she's about to attack. If she is, I just release the attack and try and dodge. That worked most of the time, but that was basically the best strat that I had. Then when she brings out Waterfowl, I've just got to dodge that, which after the dagger run, it's pretty much second nature for me to dodge Waterfowl now. And then you just rinse and repeat for phase 1. Phase 2 though, it's mostly a more aggro phase 1. The problem I had is that spirit attack where she has like the ghost Melanias come out and stab you. I don't know the proper way to dodge it. I've seen Lobos Jr. do it and I still can't handle it. So I just legged it every time it came out. Everything else is pretty much the same with just narrower attack windows. So once you know, you get an opportunity, just throw in a Night Comet and run. Then she brings out Scarlet Aeonia, and it's pretty much over at that point because she just gives me tons of opportunity to just hammer in damage. And yeah, that's over pretty quickly. Melania down. Next up, we've got the Lord of Blood himself, Mohg. Phase 1, he's relatively passive, so you can just hit him with Comet sorceries for a while and really chunk down his health. The moment he goes into phase 2 though, he's super aggressive and you've just got to focus on how he's coming in to attack you and which way he's throwing blood, because the blood slinging attacks are really your biggest problem. Find the right dodges and this is all over pretty quickly. Oh, Malekith. I've fought Malekith a buttload of times. However, I always fought him with melee. Doing it at range is really kind of awkward, and It took so long for me to figure out how to do it. So long, in fact, at one point I went back, did rebirth, moved to a melee build, and then tried to use Rivers of Blood on him, which is what you see in the opening sequence, and it did bugger all damage, even with the blood loss proc. It was so small, it was a joke. So I sort of gave up on that. But so this fight was a lot of learning how to fight Malekith at range, because he can close distance and use ranged attacks a lot in both phases. And then in the second phase, he's just super aggro, so you've got to be able to throw out an attack quick enough and then be ready to dodge any of his destined death attacks, because if you don't, you're going to get hard shit on. Took a lot of practice, eventually got it. Fucking awesome fight. The all-knowing jerkhole. I thought I'd walk in here and laughably melt him with Kamehameha Azure, but he apparently dodges that and every projectile. So I went back to Old Faithful, Night Sorceries. Bit of a pillar protection and Gideon eats it. Not too bad, just annoying. True Godfrey was so backwards from my last run. Phase 2 I knew how to do at range. Phase 1 though, it has so few openings once he powers up, because he stops doing the whole menacing walk and instead he literally slides in front of you and tries to stomp on your nads. Phase 2 ends up pretty much the same as the dagger run. You wait for a wind up or recovery animation, give him a squirty or hot intelligence, then just leg it away. The main problem I had here though was flasks. He does not want you to have a bevy at any cost. Find the right ops though, and the fight comes together nicely. And before we start talking about Radagon, I would like to point out that I totally forgot about Placidusax. Fortisax I couldn't do because that's part of Fia's questline. Placidusax though I just genuinely forgot. Whoops. Radagon took me a while, because my normal strat is to burn him down so quick that I have tons of flasks left over for the Elden Beast. This run kind of has a no fast burn policy on bosses like Radagon. We also had the issue that I can only use night sorceries because he can parry everything else. So this meant that I had to learn how to get through the fight with the maximum amount of flasks left over, using night sorceries only, which was kind of ass. Elden Beast, I actually had to swap my strat because range with wind-up time was just getting me killed over and over again because Elden Beast works best at range. So, between phases, I swapped to the Carrion Slicer, which actually was doing better DPS for FP anyway, and then I just fought the beast like a melee fight. With some favourable RNG, the god is slain and the frenzied flame can take hold. Thank you to everyone that made it this far. Don't forget to like if you enjoyed this, dislike if you didn't, obviously. Subscribe if you want more gaming, anime and tabletop content. We will definitely be having more Elden Ring runs. And if you want to see me try out some specific Elden Ring or Souls runs, let me know in the comments. Cheers!